Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we keep talking about the geometry of chess, where we will break down invisible moves. Moves that we don't think about, that are unconventional, crazy, and I hope this increases your tactical vision. And to me, this was also difficult. It wasn't easy to see. So let's start with this example. First, white is going to play d5. We have to move the knight. Knight goes to e5. And then a human move, bishop to b4, slight inaccuracy, is not clear why. Best move was to just play queen c2. But okay, let's go with this continuation, what happened in the game, queen to c2. Now, where do you put this queen? It doesn't look like it has any squares available, free, we cannot go anywhere. What do? Feel free to pause the video and save the game. Save the queen, save the game. It's like save the cheerleader, save the world. So we can put the queen on f3. Yes, if they take, we can take back the only move for the king, and now we complete the checkmate. Yeah, they cannot take. They cannot take, they have to castle, and now we take the pawn. Perfect. So having said that, what is the principle here? We want to give a check here with the knight. If this square is available, we give a check and then the checkmate. Let's say that we are playing dog chess. I hope you have seen this variant of chess where you cannot put a piece on that square if your opponent has a dog. What other move would you be able to find if that is not f3? Yeah, we can put also the queen on h3. Also kind of works. So if they take, same checkmate, right? So I'm gonna make the move here. It's a checkmate. They cannot take. I'm gonna go here. They cannot take. They can castle. Second best move is because we don't win the pawn, right? They have a tempo to protect the pawn, and everything is good for white, but we still save the queen. Let's take a look at another example where it's black to play. Feel free to pause the video. What would you play with black? Try to brainstorm. You also have to think outside the box. And if you saw my previous video, you are probably familiar with the concept of collinear moves. So this is a common theme in chess where instead of going 100% in the direction of the other piece, we can always take here, right? But this doesn't lead to a good continuation. Yeah, the queen can take. We can give a check here, the game continues, but this looks very much like a draw. Then why don't we think about this concept of going part of the way, not all the way, but part of the way in the direction of the enemy's piece. Rook to d2. Rook to d2, we're threatening to checkmate, so the rook is forced to take, but we have now this beautiful alignment of the pieces, king and queen. King moves, and now we win the queen. It's completely winning for black. Okay, if you pause the video and you were thinking about maybe moving the bishop here, yeah, that's fine. It's completely okay. Queen c2, the game continues. This is still winning, right? It's too much power with this bishop. Then, another solution, which is also really elegant, another collinear move, rook to d2. Sorry, rook to d4. I'm confused about the coordinates. So if they take here, we take back. Again, we're threatening to checkmate, so they have to make this ugly defensive move, defend with the queen. We can win the pawn here. They have to move. This knight is out of the game. Yeah, it's winning. Definitely is winning for black. Brilliant. Let's see another example where we have to think outside the box as well. Rook takes on b2. This is a mistake, almost like a poison pawn. We cannot move this. Best move in the position. As you can see, black has problems of development and we can own the open file. More importantly, this queen is overloaded. The queen is taking a look at the knight and at the king. So best move for black is to take. Takes. The knight is still hanging. They have to protect. The game is playable now for black. But the rook takes. This is what really happened in the game. So how do you punish this? I didn't see it at first. My intuition was, let's try queens. So I did see this. It's okay. It's correct. But the continuation wasn't so clear because it's kind of silly. Okay, we have to castle. Yeah, we can actually castle because Rook is attacking a square that is not in the way of the castling, right? So once we castle, the king moves, we can win the Rook, and now it's completely winning for white. I have more of a positional mind. What about you? Are you more tactical or positional? But I did find this move in probably after a minute. It wasn't that simple, but it's not so difficult. Especially if you are 1800, right? Probably around that elo. But some of you guys have an amazing tactical mind. So, okay, queen moves to e6. Now, we have a check here in this position. The expected move maybe is to play this or move the king. The problem is, the minute we move, the bishop is hanging, right? They can take or take. So, there is a way out. Try to find the video. Now, try to find it and pause the video. Okay, we have beautiful geometry. We can put the bishop here, right? Attacking the queen. And now this bishop is saved. If they take here, we can give a check. King moves, checkmate. Perfect. So they kind of have to take with the queen. But now the queen is not going to have any squares available after we play b3. They have squares available. Let me rephrase that. But once the queen moves somewhere, the same continuation. Checkmate. So here they have to give up the queen. They have to give up the queen. Takes. They take the bishop. However, now with this so much material, this is completely winning for white. I would like to show you the next example from the opening. Sometimes these mistakes occur from the start. So c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, f5. So the knights are out, everything is good. We get d4, and black is going to play a tricky move, e4, right? Kicking out this knight, bishop to g5, giving a check. So we have to defend with black, knight to f6, and then d5, overextending the pawn. And now we get to some kind of symmetry, right? We're kicking out the knight, and they're doing the same thing to us. So this is a lesson I have learned from studying geometry positions, right? Or studying geometry in chess. You have to avoid symmetry because the player who makes the move first usually has the advantage. You don't have enough chances to create counterplay, or you get into trouble. So in this case, this is case for white, who's gonna do the same thing that we did to them. They're gonna push the pawn like this. Perfect. We start the move. We take, they take, and we take the pawn here. If white continues with this move, this is completely fine. The game goes on. Pretty much a draw at this point. Or it's an equal game. Not a draw, but an equal game. Okay. But what if they occur, because probably they see some videos, checks, captures, threads, checks are first, so I'm gonna take the pawn. Yeah, that completely blunders the game. And we have to find the right move in the position. Okay, and it's not intuitive as well. So if we take the bishop here, bishop takes the pawn, and everything is fine. But no, we can actually hang the queen. This is a brilliancy. Knight takes on d7. We're completely hanging the queen. Let's allow this to happen. We are getting this queen anyway. Okay, so what does black play? They take the pawn. Understandable. We're gonna put pressure on the bishop. Okay, on white is going to defend. Try to defend with the knight. Knight to d5. We can even give up the bishop like this. And they have to take, right? They have to take or give up the queen. There is no moves available for the king. So they give up the bishop, the knight, sorry. We take the bishop. Yeah, this is completely winning for black, right? The other version. Let's go all the way back. Let's say they don't take the queen. They realize this continuation. This leads into trouble. So they don't take the queen. Instead, they just take the pawn, avoiding the queen to promote. So, okay. Yeah, the bishop is hanging. It's completely winning. Once they castle, we're up a full piece. All right, the next invisible move, also very interesting one, is gonna have to be a defensive move. In this position, we don't have any good checks available. This blunders the queen, for example. The queen is in a great diagonal as well, but we don't have any way to coordinate our pieces. And there is a threat of the queen coming here. So how do you handle this position? Perfect, we can actually just go to the corner, king to h1. And if they give a check, we have enough tempo with the bishop to defend. They cannot play this, they just hands the queen. So yeah, there is different continuations, but there is nothing there for black. Bishop to g4, for example. Yeah, we can try to trade queens. If it takes, everything is good. So queen will have to move somewhere else to keep the pieces on the board. The game continues. Something else here in this position, for example, if we don't play king to h1, what do you play exactly, right? Maybe we can defend here this square, but the bishop is hanging. So yeah, this is terrible. We will have to give up the queen again to avoid the checkmate. So we give up the queen. This is completely lost for white. But yeah, just this cool, calm and collected. King h1 is all good. Okay, the next invisible move is actually not so hard to see, especially when you realize something. First, yeah, it looks scary. There's two knights in the position versus one. It looks like we're losing. However, this is completely winning after you realize the king doesn't have any escape squares. They cannot go anywhere, so we just have to give a check. Knight to h8, and it doesn't matter what black does at this point. They can try different moves. They can go here, knight to e2. They can go here, knight to e4. They can try a bunch of different things. It doesn't really matter. They can try this, threatening to give a check. At the end of the day, it's going to be checkmate in the next move. Knight to g6, checkmate. They don't have any escape squares available. There is only one move that saves the game for black. Try to find it. Let's break it down in terms of geometry first. We have a beautiful right triangle in this position, rook and queen coordinating. So to me, this is a square to protect according to the right triangle. Whether we play queen to e5, yeah, they can give a checkmate here. And if we protect this square with something like queen c6, yeah, they can give a checkmate on this side of the board. So yeah, those are not viable solutions. Why don't we move the queen? To me, this is a threat, right? Queen to c4. Putting the rook and the queen 2 squares apart. We're going to do the same thing. We're gonna get here, and now we have a similar kind of symmetry, right? So we're preventing this. If they play this, now it's like you have to avoid the symmetry, right? In this case, yeah, symmetry is going to help us. As I said before, symmetry doesn't help you in the opening, but in the endgame, it works a lot. So king to e5, rook to g4. We enter the territory of showing a lot of different moves. It doesn't really matter as we keep protecting our pieces. Rook and queen keeping an eye on each other. Queen to d3, rook g5, queen to f4. It doesn't matter what I play here. It's a draw with perfect play, okay? And then why don't they play something else? They can play something like rook f5, check, given a check. Perfect. We can just get out, king to e6, and for some reason the queen is stuck on mostly on the light squares. So we can, yeah, they can give a check here. We escape, king d7, queen b7 check, king e6. We're threatening now to win the rook. They have to give a check. Perfect. And you have noticed we haven't even moved the rook and the queen. They're still keeping an eye on each other. King to e6. King c8 check, queen c8 check, king e7. The game continues, it's all good, but it's still a draw. Here we can even trade rooks, trade queens, and it's a draw. I have shown this example in one of my videos before. I don't remember which one, probably about geometry. Let's see the move first, and let's see what happens in the game, and then I will show you with the computer how to defend this position. It's not easy for black, at least. So in this one, we're gonna get king to h2. What is the plan? They have problems on the dark squares. there is no defenders in this position of the dark squares, so we can bring the king around and deliver a checkmate. And that's what happened in the game. So rook to c8, king to g3, rook to e8, king f4, bishop to c8. We bring the king around, and now black resign on the spot. Just to illustrate this point, they can even take the rook here. We move the king. There is no good moves available, so this is checkmate. Perfect. How does black defend this position according to the computer? So after we bring the king to h2, they hit the rook. Okay, it makes sense. We don't even have to move it. The principle of the second weakness, right? So we can push g4. Everything is good here, but there's no reason to exploit anything on this side of the board. So I'm gonna go here to the king side, creating a second weakness. That's where we push the pawn g4, bishop to b7. They're hitting the knight. Okay, we can just defend with the rook. Everything is fine. Queen to e4, and now they have managed to bring the queen around, and they went to trade it. This is also top engine. We can take and get rid of the pawn. We of course don't take, right? To take is a mistake. But even if we take, this still keeps the advantage, as their pieces are very tied down. Perfect. But we don't take, of course. After queen to a5, we can play knight to g5, bringing the knight around, bishop to c6, rook takes on c7, we win one pawn, queen takes on f6. Now this is becoming a permanent weakness. It takes on f6, rook to c8. We can almost like, this is super weird, right? But we get the outpost on e7 with the rook. It's completely winning. Now we get to this endgame, where there is only one way to mate in 3. There is different, everything is winning for white at this point. We can go, for example, rook d1, king b8, we take the pawn, and now here the king moves. This is a good principle to remember. We just waste a tempo, right? Now the king moves, and whenever you see this king looking at each other, this is a checkmate. Perfect. So this was mate in 4. How do we make a mate in 3? Rook c1. Rook c1 with the principle of, I'm gonna cut out the king of these squares. So there is different variations. Here we can try something like king a6, rook a1, check. Okay, that doesn't work for black. What about king to b8? Okay, we get into a similar variation where king takes on b6, king goes to a8, and now this is a checkmate. Perfect. What if they try to, let's say, push the pawn? Okay, they push the pawn here. We can move the king. This is all good. Now the king moves. And now we go to the first file, rook to a1, check. Yeah, this is mate in 3. But you have to find this move, rook to c1, cutting off the king. All right, let's get on with this one. Black is threatening to play checkmate in the next move. So I look at this position and I go, I'm just gonna play bishop to g3. It's completely fine, right? And it's winning. It's still winning for white. Yeah, there is something better. My first idea, I didn't spend much time just thinking, okay, I'm just gonna trade queens. Take takes, it still gives the advantage for white. But look for a mate in 2. We have a mate in 2 in this position, which is insane because we don't think about it like, yeah, what is happening? This is the second best move in the position because now we're threatening this. Okay, so the best move is to give a check here. I'm gonna give a check here on g7, and now I'm threatening to play this anyway. So once the rook takes, we can give a checkmate with the rook, or it's all the same if they take back with the queen. Checkmate here. Yeah, this is also hard to see, wasn't it? Alright guys, please comment, like, and subscribe. Exclusive members of the channel can join for only $1, and you will get access to all the positions that I have analyzed, not only the video, but also the Lee chess story, which is private. But you will be able to analyze it, look at the notes, everything is gonna be here. Okay, I will see you in the next one, and take care.